who has had a good week, Dominic?
I'm giving good week to the people of Denmark because they are soon probably going to own the copyright of their own faces, their likeness, and their voices.
It's actually quite strange that we don't own our faces already. Why is this necessary?
I do think we do own our faces, but maybe just we didn't own explicitly the copyright of our faces. Yeah, why is this necessary? That's a good question. It's a legislative amendment to a copyright law, and it's being brought forward by the Danish government in order to clamp down on the growing problem of deepfakes. The idea is that this amendment will give people in Denmark a legal framework whereby they can demand that online platforms remove content that is imitating their voice or their likeness without their consent.
And what kind of content are we talking about here?
Well, a deepfake is any piece of content that realistically imitates a real person. It can be a photo, a video, but it can also be audio only. Remember that time when producer Wojciech got the AI machine to imitate my voice on the podcast last year and create a happy ending in my absence, even though I was out of all internet range in the Scottish Highlands?
That was very strange.
That was a deep fake, although I must admit I did actually consent to that deep fake, and Wojciech was honest about it on the show. So in that case, I wouldn't have asked the Danish government to send the police over to the non-existent Europeans podcast offices. Deepfakes are often used to make people in the public eye seem to say things that they would never say. The technology has been advancing rapidly, and the regulation has not quite caught up in most of the world yet. And perhaps it's an obvious thing to say, but deepfake content can threaten the functioning of our democracies by spreading incredibly realistic disinformation. And there is actually a clear example of this from Denmark, where last year the populist Danish People's Party helped circulate a deep fake video of Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen giving a fake press conference in which an AI-generated imitation of her announced the cancellation of major holidays like Christmas and Easter.
Oh my God, that's such weird and also bold political campaigning. I don't even know what to make of that. When it comes to these deepfakes of politicians, I get the danger, but shouldn't that also be an opportunity to satirize politicians? Is there a way to ban the dangerous part, but still be allowed to imitate their likeness and voices for political parody?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is why in this legislative amendment, there is in fact a provision to allow people to create deepfakes if they are doing it for satirical purposes. Not quite sure how they're going to decide what counts as satirical or not. That's going to be a tricky one for some courts. But yeah, maybe because of this satirical provision, it's become quite a popular legislative plan. According to a report in The Guardian, 9 in 10 members of the Danish parliament are behind this plan. So huge majority it's going to have. It just has enormous cross-party support, and it's therefore very likely to become law in the autumn. I'm realizing now that this is actually one of those rare good weeks that's actually pretty unequivocally good news for once. I think it's a summer miracle.
I know, I was just thinking the same. I was like, what is this strange feeling? I think it's just a pure good week.
I failed all year up to now, but finally I'm getting it just before the summer break. Anyway, the Danish culture minister Jakob Engel-Schmidt is also hoping to sell this innovative legislative idea to other countries. Well, I say sell, but I don't think he's actually trying to make money from it. He has quite a good platform for sharing his ideas because as of this week, Denmark holds the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union. This is that thing where each EU country has a turn at 6 months of steering the council meetings. I think almost all Europeans don't notice that this rotating presidency rotates.
I agree.
But it does give Engel-Schmidt and his government a chance to steer the agenda in these meetings a bit more. And he seems keen to share this innovative legislation with his colleagues in the rest of the EU. Engelschmidt actually said in a statement about this legislation, "I am extremely proud that we are now sending an unequivocal signal to all citizens that you have the right to your own body, your own voice, and your own facial features. In a time when technology has overtaken legislation, I am pleased that so many of the parties of the Danish parliament will help protect artists and ordinary people from digital identity theft, which can now be done with just a few clicks from a screen." He goes on to say that we are getting to a point when it's going to be virtually impossible to tell if a video is real or not. And yeah, I personally find that quite a scary Rubicon that we are crossing there.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest parts of this for me is the enormous problem of deepfake pornography and how much it can ruin people's lives, especially teenagers. Like, oh my God, I just can't even imagine what it's like to be a teenager with this technology. Does this legislative amendment actually address that enormous problem of deepfake pornography?
Yeah, that's something I was trying to find out. There is no explicit mention of deepfake pornography in the statements from Engelschmidt and the other politicians who are supporting this amendment. This amendment actually focuses more on the danger of deepfakes for artists, for musicians, and also the threat of misinformation and manipulation. But of course, there is also a huge problem, as you say, with deepfake pornography all around the world right now. AI is getting better and better by the day at creating realistic pornographic content with the faces of real human beings who have not consented to this content being created. It can be seriously disturbing and a traumatic violation if it happens to you. And depressingly, it probably comes as no surprise to you that the vast majority of the victims of deepfake pornography are women. But no, this legislation is not focused on the problem of deepfake pornography because there is seemingly already legislation that protects victims of deepfake pornography in Denmark, fortunately. In fact, people who share non-consensual deepfake pornography in Denmark can be punished by up to 6 months in jail under their defamation laws. So that's it. I'm giving good week to the people of Denmark, who are probably at some point over the next year going to be a bit better protected from the risk of deepfakes than most other people in Europe. I quite like the idea, actually, of owning the copyright to my face. So I'm considering moving to Denmark.
Don't go.
Well, I don't think I actually will. I've never been there.
Really, it's so close.
And another random fact, I was reading the news last night and I saw that our own crown princess in the Netherlands, Amalia, she's just graduated, and she did her graduation dissertation about EU law around AI deepfakes. So I was thinking we should continue this conversation with Princess Amalia as an expert on the show in a future week.
Sounds perfect.